Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Smartcat AI Skills Lab for L&D. We're so excited that you're here today. This is the first inaugural AI Skills Lab that we're doing for L&D customers and anybody who's new out there who doesn't know Smartcat so far. So it's really great to have you here. We're going to be exploring different AI Skills Lab within Smartcat, skills within Smartcat and outside of Smartcat. I'm Loie. I'm a content engineer, AI content engineer at Smartcat. And we also have Moston.
Pleasure to meet everyone. Yes, Moston here. I'm the forward deployment engineer here at Smartcat, so I'll be taking you through a lot of the concepts that we'll be exploring today.
Awesome. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into the program. We have one person on our channel, actually two people who join us. We have Genevieve Carbone, who is our director of product marketing. She's in our chat and can chat with you, ask any of your, or answer any of your questions, sorry, that you might have as we go along. And then we also have Claire Foster, who is our director of customer marketing, and she can also help if you have any other specific questions about how we can help customers and what we can do, what more we can do. And then feel free at any point in time to ask questions in that Q&A. We're going to reserve about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes at the end for your questions that we'll read out loud and discuss. So we'll just, yeah, make sure you ask them along the way. And yeah, let's get started. So I want to walk you through like why we're doing this today, of course. So the market, as we know, are changing. Organizations see that regulations change, different compliance around the world, and you really need to start creating content for your employees that is going to resonate and is going to actually drive that employee performance that you're wanting to achieve. But it's really difficult to scale L&D training content if you're using, let's say, older traditional methods. And that's why it's important for people to upskill and to learn how can I use L&D or how can I use AI to create an easier time for myself? How can it help me and my team? And how can it help the organization at the end to achieve the learning goals of your company? Whether that's, completion rates or anything from performance to retention, and just ensuring that you offer a great learning and development experience for your employees across the globe. In this session that we're going to be doing today, it's all about helping you create that content and making it available and reducing that adaptation lag that comes in place, which then drives different, can cause different things like risks with compliance and also just revenue and different performance goals that don't hit the mark at the end of the day. We're going to start this AI skills lab today with AI prompting, helping you on structuring prompts in a way that will provide that governance to your translation quality and to your translation output. We're going to be looking at automating your global training localization using different tools within Smartcat and how to properly set that up with your different AI human workflows. We're also looking at AI content creation to help create modules and content ad hoc for changing industries and regulations so that you're always on top of what your employees need. And then looking at different ways to ensure AI-driven compliance. Before at the end, we're looking at then the performance of like LMS performance and how you can gauge that and combine it with performance around like your operational performance and success. And then at the very end, looking at predictive learning paths, and how you can set that up to a little bit be more not on the ball, but less reactive and sort of forecast what's going to be happening with your employees. So let's just jump into the first skill, shall we? Um, so automation is really important in analytics, but the basis of your AI is all about how you can set up that prompting and provide that governance that your AI really needs to provide that like great AI output and that content that your employees will read. And at the end of the day, it really needs to be high quality so that they're reading the right things, they're getting the right content, and there's no misunderstanding across markets, which could affect, sales performance or customer success experiences for their clients. So you're under more pressure to do more with your role, which is why AI comes really in handy for that. And prompt engineering is a great skill to have to make sure you're not doing much rework at the end. So prompt engineering is allowing you to provide structured learning content that's aligned with your goals and your instructional goals as well. So instead of asking AI to do something very like broad, we can define context for the AI. We can provide information with your learning objectives, what you want to achieve, and then giving it also contextual information as well. And that from there, it can generate lesson flows, modules, assessments, but it can, make sure that any content you're translating is also um, within the guardrails and the quality metrics of your company. I'm going to turn it over to Mostyn, who's going to demonstrate this within Smartcat, which where we have product prompting capabilities as well. Over to you, Mostyn.
Thank you. Just before I share my screen, I'd like to just go over a couple of like top tips on how you'd go about creating these prompts for your learning content. You might be thinking, okay, I've got no experience in prompt engineering. How do I go about even writing a prompt to instruct the AI on how I want to deliver our content to our markets? Well, AI is your friend, both in SmartCat and outside of it. You can instruct your LLM of choice on how to create the perfect prompt for SmartCat itself. You can upload all of your style guides, your brand tone of voice, maybe even one of your last learning content materials. You can instruct the AI, then say, hey, this is how we speak as a business. Please help me create a chain of thought prompt on this to translate this content into XYZ, for example. Now, with that, it's really important to also factor in constitutional AI prompting. And what I mean by that is how you want the AI to perform better. A bad example would be write professionally, for example. Think of it more as guardrails. What do we want the AI not to do? So a good example there would be, never use jargon, never write sentences more than 20 words, for example, or never assume technical knowledge. We're adding detractors into what we want the AI to execute. It's like training a new team member. Don't send out an email at all company, for example. It's just instructions on what not to do. Now, a chain of thought prompt is one step deeper. An LLM today is a deep thinker. It's not just on basic instructions. They are more centered around complex thought. Okay, where do we start? What's the middle? And what is my output? That's what we would call a chain of thought prompt. Now, I'll go ahead and share my screen now and show you where you can go about adding all of that into SmartCat and then leveraging that for your content generation as well. So, coming to the settings, and then just up here, we've got our translation engine presets. And you can see we've segmented it in a couple of ways, either specific to language, and that's only prevalent if we use Japanese for an example, it's very formal language, maybe German as well. We might need to construct ourselves in a little bit of a different way compared to English, which is fairly casual, or another casual language example, which I can't really think of off the top of my head. We might want to then segment by language, but we can do a catch-all. And I have one here for L&D. But I will go through the add preset here, and you have these three models. These are our large language models, which are available to you in the platform. Each one of them, you'll have access to the latest model as well, and we're constantly updating these. But if you find that performance is actually better, speed is actually better, you might want to use a different model. But here are our basic tags within the platform. We want to maintain these. So where you'll be adding all of your new prompt would be in this section here, in between where we're saying your entire response must be translation without any additions, and then this is just tag stuff for visualizations within the platform. But if I go back to the chain of thought prompt here for L&D, so we are an expert translator in learning and development from source to target with years of experience. Then we're asking it to do an analysis. So here's the chain of thought. Step one is the initial translation from source to target, factoring in structural clarity, inclusivity, maintaining appropriate formality level for specific languages, analysis and feedback. We want the AI to do a self-review before it passes it out in Smartcat. Is it clear? Is cultural context maintained? Correctness and formality, tone. And then finally, if it's spotting anything in that revision, we want it to actually revise that translation. And we've got some instructions here as well. And that way, we're almost asking the AI to do a self-review before it goes out to that human in the loop, that human reviewer, to come in and further contextualize what the output is. So we find with having a chain of thought prompt, we get it's almost a 90% better output as far as quality is concerned because we're matching your brand tone of voice, we're matching the way that you speak as a business, how you want to deliver that content is perfectly matched here in the prompt, in the instructions, and then how we go about leveraging that in the system is through our AI translation profiles. We'll cover this in more detail later on, but in the translation presets here, we can set it for all languages. So all content that you put through is consistent throughout. Back over to you, Loie.
Great, thank you, Austin. Just checking, you can see my screen, right?
Hmm.
I was jumping through tabs. Awesome. Awesome. So the next skill we wanted to jump to is about your automation of your training operations. Um, we know that once training exists, the next challenge is about rolling it out globally. Many of you might have experienced in the past that by relying heavily on an agency, that could take like weeks to months to, however long, and you can't do as much in little time. That means you're less reactive and you can't keep up with the needs of your employees in terms of what they need to learn. Um, so the reason what that's called is adaptation lag. It's when you have manual translation workflows that makes that localization or that adaptation lag between that first original version that you've created to the localized version. And these delays can do things like they can delay your launches, they can delay any kind of product enablement and that revenue impact. So with Smartcat's multi-agent systems and agentic AI and agents are the whole new thing now. It's not just generative AI. It makes sense to look at, what I could do with an agentic system to improve the speed of what I'm doing today. And then also thinking about your entire learning package. It's not just about one file and just about one thing that you need to, translate one at a time, a PDF here, a video there. It's about how you can orchestrate the entire workflow with AI to achieve the goal that you want to get to, as well as reduce any kind of adaptation lag that you be facing. Um, so what we're going to show you today is about how you can speed up translations with using Smartcat, knowing how to do it properly in the correct file formats, and making sure you're using the right AI human workflows for every stage along the way. I'm going to pass it over to Moston, and you can continue letting us know, showing us the presentation.
Thanks, Loie. So, as Loie mentioned, gone are the days of XLIF translations where you're having to deconstruct your whole course, remove all the images, remove all the videos, bring it all back together at the end. Now we have something super exciting. It's our course translator agent, where you go ahead and upload your SCORM file. So this is the entire package with all infographics, video assets, whatever you have built into the course, you can just upload here in one package. We do the same things as before. March, we're just setting out our uh, March webinar, our deadlines, our languages. Now, for those who are new here today, you have over 280 different languages and their local dialect versions available. You can select multiple as we go. And then here is that translation profile that I showed you just now, where we are calling out to that prompt that we created, along with the translation memories and glossary terms, which we'll go over in a moment as well. Now, come on, last percent. I do have one that I've prepared just in case. Okay, we're going to jump to it anyway. So I've uploaded my document here, and in the same way as before, we can go ahead and just invite either human reviewers into Smartcat to review that content for us, But what's also super exciting today, we have that multi-agent system, as Loie mentioned. So we're using an agent to have that package SCORM translated, but now we can actually also go ahead and invite an agent to come in and review, do that first pass translation for us. So I've actually done that here for France. France for us is a small locale, it's an office of five, so we don't actually need a human reviewer to come in here. We're really happy to just use our translation agent to do that work for us instead. And that's immediate. The moment the course is uploaded, the moment we've added that translation agent in here, it's finished, it's complete. It can be sent out to that locale. We'll cover what that looks like in more detail in a moment. But if I go to the overview page here, um, I'll just load up what the reviewers are seeing on the Smartcat side. Whereas before it was all deconstructed, loss of context, you couldn't see what was going on. Today, you are consuming the course in the way that it was intended, the way that you built it. Now, the translators have full context end to end. They can either go through each section here and translate individually, but what's even better, I would argue, is consuming the course the way it was designed. So here we have it in German. If I want to cross-check with my English, I can see it in here, switching by live preview, switch it to German, and go ahead and start the course. I can go through each one of these segments. I can click what needs to be translated. I can make all of my edits, and you can see it will just appear there live in real time. If I'm happy, I can mark this off and complete. But actually, you can see here I don't need to. All of it's been done for me already. Everything has a translation memory match because we've already committed to this German course before last year. We've just added new segments because it's 2026. We've just got a new course element down at the bottom. So all we'll need to do is actually just jump to that unconfirmed segment and mark those as complete. But I just want to show you here, it's fully interactive. We've actually marked this one off as I've been learning through this. All of my assets in here, these are all translated into German as well. And I can just show you that in more detail if I click on, I believe it's this one. Oh, no, it was the top one. Is our infographic, which is fully interactive. I can resize this to make it more clear. And that way, we're not deconstructing and repackaging. It's all within that SCORM. Same for our videos as well. Any video content in here, I always have to reload this page. We have our subtitles, which are available. Coming really soon, you'll have full subtitles, video, dubbing, and you'll be able to customize all of this. And then an extra cherry on top. This is for Rise. Now, for .storyline files, we have the exact same experience. If I go ahead and open this up in Editor now, you'll see we have a fully interactive storyline. Let me just resize this for clarity. I can, languages expand and contract. They might not always fit the box, especially with German, I would say. So I can resize this to make sure that it fits. I can move it around if I don't want it to be there anymore. I can press play here to make sure that all of my slides all of my functions are popping up in an appropriate way. And I can click through all of this as well. It's fully interactive in exactly the same way. Cool. Back over to you, Loie. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Before we get into the next skill, I wanted to also take a time moment to let you know that, there is no one size fit all for all of your workflows with AI. There are some AI workflows that may be more AI led and others that be more human led, just really depending on like how fast you want to get something out to your employees as well as what kind of content it is actually. So when I'm going to be showing you different options here depending on the kind of learning stage and the kind of content it is. But my question to everybody here is, do you think that learning development content or training content should be more AI led or human led? So if you have an opinion on that, write us in the chat. It's a hot topic right now. So if you do have an opinion on that, we'd really love to know, like, what are you thinking about AI and human workflows and where that focus should be at this point in time. So if you do start using AI for your content, which you probably are if you're here, you could think of it in different ways. So For something like onboarding, you can allow for like full AI automation, allowing your entire system to AI translate like your score package, for example, while ensuring glossary enforcement. And you can add a layer of a review with an AI review agent, which we'll be talking about later, and then publish your LMS with your score package. Or let's say you are looking at doing some core skill development. So it's something that's, a little bit more foundational for everybody. It's really important. Maybe this something could be like also AI translated, but your SME could do a lot more review here just to make sure that it's correct if it's something very specific. For more advanced roles and training that you want to do, you can translate it, but you need to have that regional expert reviewer and in there, as well as maybe one of the compliance agents that Smartcat just released before publishing. And then for that continuous learning and those constant updates that you want to put out, it's important to automate that and make sure that there's some sort of automation between your platforms and ensuring that governance with your glossaries, with your translation memories, and keeping all that up to date to make sure that anything that's updated with every change the course, it's completely updated correctly in all the different languages globally. So thinking of it not as a one size fits all is really important for AI translation to make sure that the output is correct and the way you want it to be at the end of the day. The next skill I'm going to discuss today is agile learning personalization, sorry. So traditionally, courses are created once and then updated occasionally. I know this is still a bottleneck. I've talked to clients at Smartcat, and it's always like, how do we get those courses up to date quickly and making sure that we're quickly adjusting to the needs of our employees worldwide. But things change, like workforce changes, products changes, regulations. So how can you create a course and quickly without, it taking months to create with maybe, your team of instructional designers or with yourself. So maybe there's a faster way you could do it. And of course, AI is the way to get there. That way you can, look at those learning needs and adapt to them a lot quicker. Um, so what this helps you to do is, of course, reduce that time that what you would allow your employees to get trained at. And then it can also help you to be more adaptive and agile for any kind of like change that might come your way. So I'm going to turn it over right away to Mostyn because this is something that might take a little bit more time to show how our multi-agent systems can generate course content, training content, and then showing you the best practice around how to use this tool.
Thank you very much. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. So if we come down the page here, you can see recommended. We've just covered our course translator for those for translating those courses that already exist. But as Loie said, you might need to be more adaptive, or you might need to create courses on the fly. And rather than having that 6 month review cycle of creation back and forth and then final deployment, you might need to get content out within literal minutes. And I'll show you that today. It will take literal minutes. So we have that learning content agent just here. And this is great because it not only lets you create content on the fly, but also adapt that content that you have already. So we can import an existing course. We can use it to further customize what you've already created, make it a little bit more flashy, change the colors, change the font, whatever it might be. Or we can update any segments within those courses as well. But what I'd like to show you today is creating one from scratch. We can do a full-blooded course from end to end, but today I'll show you how we go about creating that new micro-learning. And I'll just go ahead and actually create a learning on what we're doing today. So AI Skills Lab, this is the presentation that we've been going through. What will the course be about? So we're going to you might be thinking, oh, great, why didn't we just consume the course instead of joining the webinar? But then you wouldn't have us. So we'll just add what the course is about, who the participants are. So we're delivering a learning experience on AI, who is consuming the course. So L&D teams looking for additional tools to add to their tool set. We've got our content language, which is in English. Now, a really exciting update that we've got here is a customizable avatars. So we can look for a more natural setting. I like Amelia. She's in the office, looks very professional. Go ahead and select her. And then we can go ahead and select her voice as well. So why not use This is how I sound. Hope you like it. Not sure if you could hear that, but we'll go ahead and select that and click save. Now, we won't do a full-blown 60-minute course. We'll just do 25 today. And I want to show you how quickly all of this gets generated. What we're looking to give you here with AI is your own strategist, your own consultant, your think body. A lot of the time, creating a course is one thing. The body is a completely another hill to climb. Thinking of all that content can be quite challenging. So here we've got our title. Fine, I love that. This I'd say maybe is a little bit too wordy, and we can just use AI again to instruct it to shorten this down for us. And I always like to say please because you never know. Then you'll see it will just regenerate that for me. It's nice and short, nice and snappy. It's a 25-minute course. Okay, let's look at generating those outcomes. We've only got two here. I think I'd like a third. So again, I can say add another and go ahead and generate that. While it's doing that, I can review the titles and I'm happy with what we're looking to consume here. I can restructure this as well if I think we're going to be in better scope. Generate those second learning outcomes. Okay, what are we achieving from these? Uh, yeah, define AI literacy. Okay, explain AI supporting training. Blah, 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 blah. Love all of that. So let's go ahead and generate those outcomes. And the outcomes itself are how do we want our team to consume it? Videos, accordions, all of the assets. How do we make it interesting? That's what we're looking to do here. So again, I'm happy with all of this and I'll switch to another one to show you what that looks like, but we'll go ahead and generate that content, look to generate all of these key points. Again, think of how long it takes you to write the body of all of this. It can take months and months of back and forth approval. We're literally doing this in seconds. I'm happy with the script here. I can generate that and either get someone internal to deliver that for us, or we've just selected our avatar, so we can go ahead and use um, Abigail to do that for us instead. We'll go ahead and generate that video. Same for the accordion. So fast, going through all of those. Let's see, flashcards as well. Let's generate. And then what have we got here? This is all of this is fully customizable. So when you're going through this as well, you're not happy. Okay, we've just done a flashcard. Do I want them to do another accordion? No, I don't. Let's go back to the outline, open up the content here and switch them around. So it's fully customizable as you're working through all of this. But you might be wondering, okay, what does that look like at the end? Now, here I've just preloaded everything and I can go ahead and preview the course that I've just created. It's again fully interactive. We can consume it on our desktop, tablet, landscape, phone, landscape. I can start the course from all of these. We're consuming it as the way you would in Rise or a storyline course. We can go through the video. I don't know if you could actually hear the audio when I was going through it. We can go through all these prompts, customize all the layouts to match your branding. And then when you export that, it's a multilingual score that you can upload straight into your learning content systems. Okay, so you're creating, you're generating, you're translating, and then you're uploading in a multilingual package ready for your team to consume. Back to you in the studio.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then I also just want to add on top of that, the course that you can upload all sorts of documentation. You probably show that, but the course that you're generating is in your brand voice, using the right terminology, all that stuff. So you don't just get some sort of a hallucinated uh, content that you need to fix anyways. So that's, I think, really cool and important is it is in the topics that you want to discuss. And then we have subject matters experts to review it or your own team as well. But I think that's a great win for our L&D customers. So the next skill I want to show you or we want to demonstrate to you is about governance. So as organizations and you use AI more and more in your content. And that's something we were just talking about is like quality governance, and especially in highly regulated industries, but also just on the linguistic level, on the messaging level, is what you're putting out there just going to be saying exactly what it want to be saying, what you want it to say? AI has become very, advanced at this point in time. So there's less, checking that needs to be done. But when there is checking that needs to be done by your internal staff, by your SMEs, a lot of the time that can be where the bottleneck lies. So finding a system that allows you to easily check that is important. So think different things you want to do first to make sure that you can get a high quality content within from your output is of course providing it with your different assets with whether that's your terminology glossaries, your style guides, your translation memories. And that's going to make sure that any AI generated content is aligned with your company standards. And it's important to also keep all that up to date as well. So not, your company standards change, which means that your knowledge base probably needs to change as well. So keeping regular updated glossary and that knowledge, which then can scale across all content, is very important. And then Smartcat embeds that governance layer right within Smartcat, or within the platform, I guess, and within the content you're producing through those sort of translation memories, through a system that learns from your best employees and your best experts. Um, and then we have something newly released called the Translation Review Agent, which will help to release that burden from your SMEs who are already very busy, I'm sure, to, spot check and to check the quality of content before it even gets to them. And that way it can, reduce the time and it needs to spend translating or reviewing every single piece of content and every single sentence that exists. So turning over to Mostyn, who's going to to demonstrate this brand new content or translation review agent. So how it works and just understanding the mechanics of it. So you know how to properly and responsibly roll it out within your workflow.
Mute. There we go. Thank you. So, yeah, as Louis mentioned, the translation review agent is a super exciting addition for us. It's going to help you get to your markets that much faster, or as Louis mentioned, reduce the burden on your internal team members from having to uh, do that initial pass on maybe not, I don't want to say not important locales, but you understand what I mean. So I used the example earlier for France. France is a small office for us. We are not hyper concerned about the content itself. I mean, I'm really not selling it in the right way, but obviously we care about our French colleagues. So what we do here, it's super easy. We treat it in the same way as we would our human in the loop reviewers. You come to your tasks, and we can say here we've already added our translation review agent, and we're going to say, okay, for our French Canadian counterparts as well, we're going to go ahead and invite our translation agent in here. Now, you'll see it will start to, just as with the AI translation at the start, it will start to automatically complete itself. And if I go back to the overview page here, you'll see pretty sharply it will, where are we? French Canada. Oh yeah, so 52, so it's slowly ticking through. But I'll just go ahead and open up France. Uh, let's go up here. And then any time we've made a correction, a retranslation, you'll be notified. There's a little icon here in the comment section where we can say, okay, that's actually all in French. And I can't read that out for you. But let's say, for example, it might not be contextualized appropriately. It might be far too casual for our French market, and we'd like it to be a little bit more professional. Or here's the professional tonality or sex word for the French spoken language. So you can review all of these, and you're not limited to just having that agent in there as well. We can also add a human reviewer to give a second pass, or maybe a proofreader who's an internal team member and a local speaker. So this really expedites your time to market. We're not having to wait weeks and weeks for internal colleagues to be free to be able to review this content for us, or we're not having to pass it off to our marketplace, you're now given an option to do an initial pass by AI, and then you have the option to send it off to internal reviewers or leverage our marketplace of freelancers to come in and give it a second pass. So this really speeds up on how you're looking to deliver that content. But then to go back to what Loie mentioned at the beginning, let's manage this properly. So Germany here, you can see we already covered, it was 100% complete, basically. You can see it's 99 here because we've added a couple of new segments, a couple of new courses right at the bottom. But I know this course that we created was from 2023. Is it still appropriate? Are we still speaking the same way? Are we still making the same course content? And to do that, you come into your linguistic assets, and we just do a pass to make sure that what we have today is actually still appropriate from the content that we delivered 3 or 4 years ago. So we come into the TM editor, and we can start searching for key phrases, keywords, key terminologies, and either deleting or updating them from here. Same with the glossary terminology. It's really important to keep this up to date because Smartcat maintains this in all languages. It's words you don't want translated, words you want translated in a certain way. So it's good practice to come in here, just review what we have is still relevant, and then that way we can apply it. The prompt applies it, and then when the AI agent does its first pass in translations, it's got less to do. Humans have less to do, and we can get our content out a lot quicker. And that's everything from me. Over to you, Loie.
You, Boston, for showing that first agent. And so yeah, I'm going to go to the next slide and the next skill. And I also have a question for you after I explain everything. So get ready. But the next one is all about compliance. So I know many of you work in highly regulated industries. So whether that's life sciences, pharma, manufacturing. Maybe you come from like have legal teams, you have a lot of, different hoops to jump through when it comes to getting content out the door. And then also there's a lot of risk involved. If you're translating, let's say, training for doctors or for healthcare professionals, you can't risk having that incorrect and also saying things that you don't want to say, I guess, internationally. And then how can you even do that and look at every single piece of content if you're not doing it with automation to make sure you're getting that content correct and compliant, without also overburdening legal teams who could also make use of a little bit of automation within their work. So we have a new agent as well for this. It's called the Smartcat Compliance Review Agent or the Compliance Agent. And so it also helps you with that compliance side to make sure that anything about regulation that is important to you is sort of checked out at the get-go, not at the very end of the process, which can be the reason why product launches or your courses, are delayed because that legal team is like, okay, this is not correct wording, and we need to redo all this. So just making sure that that compliance and that regulation, that compliance side of your training is up to date and accurate. So you get that, safer wording, that regulatory issues are just, um, you know, fixed beforehand. And that can help you with your speed, I guess, at the end of the day. So my question to you is compliance important in your learning and development or your training content workflow? And what are some of the challenges you experience with translations and with compliance? And how have you maybe solved it in the past? It's a complex question, but just to hear your thoughts on compliance in your training content is something that'd be really valuable to us. So I'm turning it over to Moston to to demonstrate our new compliance review agent and to show how it works, and how you can use it responsibly within the platform.
Great, thank you. So, yeah, just a couple of things before I go ahead and show you our compliance agent. So the primary focus, as Loie mentioned, is to identify those risky claims, flagging any prohibited terminology, highlighting legal exposure, etc. And what the platform will do, it will highlight those risky patterns based off of data that sits within like a general knowledge. It's not exposing yourselves out to these LLMs. Remember, everything that you have within Smartcat is wholly your own. So we don't look up current regulations, we don't verify against official databases or specific laws. It's looking out for risky terminology. So risky, like Fisher phrasing, precise performance claims, things like that. Now, what we'll have in the future, which is super exciting, is we'll be able to upload all of your own policies, and it will then use that as a reference alongside how you'd like it to perform those compliance checks. We can actually train the compliance agent to be your own compliance officer, which is super, super cool. So I'm going to go ahead again and just share my screen. I was in the process of just adding a new language because I realized in my example they're all at 100% now. So let me go ahead and just quickly do that. This could be a little exciting thing for those who haven't seen this before either. But you can go ahead and add extra languages to your projects and courses at any stage. And who don't we have in here? Nope, I don't think we have Italian. And we can go ahead and click save. So now it's just going to do the AI translation, same as before. But what's really cool, similar to the translation review side of things, the translation review agent, we can go ahead and add our compliance agent in at the same time. So to do that, we'll just go to tasks and we'll see. Oh, of course, 100% complete. So I've done Italian already. Oh no, here we go. So we can go invite. It's just updated, and we can do our content compliance agent and send that invitation. So now what it's going to do, as I mentioned before, it's going to review my entire course, look out for risky language, look out for precise claims, look out for over-promising terminology, and it's going to flag those for me and say, hey, okay, I've made a change here to make it more neutral. I've made a change to not over-promise on this segment. And in the same way, we'll be able to review these in platform, looking at those comments. So I'll just show you here. So if we go to Italy, open editor. Oh, I don't believe it started it yet. Let's go back. Yeah, 66. I did add it in there. This is the one time where preparation is key. Compliance agent in progress. Let's open it up this way. Okay, so we're working through it. It's gone through the images and it's working through our main course. It's just done the video. Okay, good to know. Right, let's open that up again. Now, here we go. So we've got some examples. Original Italian was awkwardly literal. It's given us our example as well, revised, multiple instances, follow through, and credibility. Excellent. So we're happy with that. It's marked it itself as complete. Now, when we hand it over to a human translator, they don't need to worry now about being having compliance experience, or we don't have to hand it over to a compliance officer internally to make sure that we're, up to code, so to say. So we can click through these, review them. Again, we've got an audit log of everything that's gone on in platform for you. And if you need to review and make adjustments, if I make this up here, say actually no, we did prefer how it was before, I can go ahead and click on the previous version, just click restore and mark it as complete. I had it prior approved, let's say. So super exciting. It's really going to speed up getting that content out to your local markets a lot faster. Back over to you.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a very exciting development, especially for those who are maybe bogged down by compliance from time to time. So, yeah, thanks for presenting that. So we have two more skills, and I just want to, be mindful of time. And we have a lot of questions that people ask, so I want to be able to go over those within our chat. I know Genevieve and Claire have been really great at answering everything, but just to go over that so everybody knows what's been asked in the channel. So I'll be fast, the last two. So. Of course, data is super important, and analyzing your data, whether, whatever data you have is important, especially also in L&D. And even if you're an instructional designer, data is so important and knowing how to read data is an important skill in anybody's job. So you can justify like, why am I even doing this? And then ensuring that what you're doing is actually achieving what you want to do and, the goals you want to achieve at the end of the day. And then showing the business value of L&D. L&D can be a department that might not have a seat at the table, but it's such an important um, industry or part of a company because it really dictates how the companies go at the end of the day or how the employees are going to act and perform and helping just to create a better environment. And studies also show that companies perform a lot better if they have L&D in place. So, or have happier customers as well, or happier employees. So, anyways, enough ranting about that, but there's two ways that you can look at data. So you can look at data from your LMS. So that's things you typically see like your assessment scores, your time spent on modules, engagement trends. And that's really important to see kind of how your employees are performing globally and not just looking at it as a whole, but how are my employees working in, how is their staff performing and learning and engaging in France and in Germany and in Mexico. And all these different places have different people with different backgrounds. And it's important to keep in mind, like, is the training really, doing what it's supposed to be doing with these people, with your employees? The second thing is looking at, okay, how am I working operationally? Am I successful? Adaptation lag, bottleneck, something that you might have occurred in the past is something you can, make improve now, but it's important to keep on iterating and optimizing your workflow to, improve with time. So being less reactive and more proactive about it. So, you can do that within Smartcat. Smartcat includes information like translation turnaround times, their language coverage, the review cycles that you have, and then making that in order to make sure that training content is available globally. So if you look at everything together, it's like if you have one region completing trainings faster, this may show that there's a delay in your localization or rollout. Or if you have assessment scores that are lower in certain regions, this could mean that the terminology hasn't been properly adapted to that market. So using this training content can improve your global training delivery and your workforce outcomes. We have in SmartCat new reporting, which you might not have seen yet. So this is really the way to then see how you're working operationally and are you being successful and seeing, do I have any lags in there? Um, and then you can see like is there any delay in the content that's created and when it's becoming available in different markets. For example, you see in this example that you see here on the screen is that this is exactly what you'll be able to see in the platform is you can see every stage of the workflow. In this example, you see, okay, actually translations is not what's taking the longest period of time. It's actually the review of translations. In this example, 80% of your entire workflow is based on the review of translations. So that makes a translation turnaround time for this example 22 days, which is quite long actually, just due to that review side of it. So not knowing this information and not knowing like having visibility into what's happening means you won't be able to address that problem quickly. Um, and then you also need to see like, okay, what translation pairs am I looking at? Did I translate actually the correct dialect? And then, seeing like, is my translation prompt and terminology correct? So there's different things that you can check within this to see like the effectiveness of your translation and your global training workflows at the end of the day, and then allowing you to make more like sound decisions about your resources and what you're going to do next. I'm not going to go through this one too much, but you can basically do your whole, global training process using your LMS data and the data within SmartCAD. So looking at things from completion rates to performance, but then looking at how is your localization of your training going, then formulating a strategy using this data to make smart decisions, and then executing it, thinking of like how can I use the platform, AI human automation to make sure that everything, is being rolled out on time, and then monitoring any kind of changes that are how things are going essentially with your global rollouts. The next skill that we want to talk about is not something that you can do in SmartCat, but it's one that said like this is pretty cool and there's so much AI out there and so many tools that why don't we talk about this today? So that's about predictive learning systems. So rather than being reactive to the content you need and create it and then translate it, but maybe there's a ways that you can be a little bit more preemptive about it and identify a lot earlier, what could we do more in terms of our training? So I looked at a different solution for this with Claude Artifacts. So Claude is something, up and coming. A lot of people are using it. It's very like right now, a lot of people want to use Claude. So I'm like, let's try it out with Claude Artifacts to build something ourselves, as opposed to try buying yet another platform in addition to your LMS, which might not be able to do this. If it does, great. You want to look at different things like collecting the learning data from your LMS, whether that's your completion rates, quiz attempts, your assessment scores, and then you want to create a dashboard using that data. You want the AI to calculate the risks that you have maybe for each learner that you have, and then you want to use any kind of like historical report to create sort of predictive signals that come out of it.
Lower,
Then, oh
we
yeah?
can't see your Claude dashboards.
Yes, I'm showing in just a second. I'm just
Oh,
explaining
sorry.
quickly. And then after that, you'll be able to set up things like heat maps and competency charts. And then you'll know what kind of like courses to build and what adaptive learning paths exist. And I'm not an L&D like I'm not an instructional designer, and my background is not in L&D, but it's so interesting all the different capabilities you can do with AI right now. I'm going to just switch my screen quick. So this is Claude, and I've created I think you can see this, the Google
Yeah,
Doc, right?
we can.
So there's different, like, it all also works in prompt. So it's basically using different structured prompts to create something really cool from scratch. So I've created a generic one that I'm going to use today, and I've also created one that I'll share with you so that you can create one that's custom to your brand. Um, so if we take this prompt down here, copy it, and then put it into this Claude artifact. So click artifacts. You want to look at your artifacts, and then you want to create a new one. Do start from scratch. Then it's gonna, prompt you to type something in. I've already done the work for you, so you can just paste in what the prompt is, and it combines all that data that I was just explaining. Get started with that, and then it's going to take some time to look at, okay, so this is what the person me wants from Claude, and it's going to create a dashboard for us that's interactive, that can be used real data, and that can help you to understand those learning paths. And the great thing about these AI tools, you can be like customize it and do all sorts of fun things with it just through AI, like chatting with the AI. You don't necessarily need to know how to code, but it's still good to know like this is all the information that is required from an AI LLM to produce something like that you can actually use within your L&D without it just being like gobbledygook, essentially at the end of the day. So as this one is working, I do have the actual preview of the same thing that I had created. So that's here. So this is a dashboard that I created with Claude today, actually, earlier today, because I was like experimenting and thinking like, what could we do with this to make it work? So um, this is one that would assess like this is the LMS data. This are all my employees. This is the teams they're working on, and then these are the risk score that they appear. So like, what are the risks? Like, they're falling behind, their performance is lagging, and you can really assess, like what do we need to do from them based on like their drop-offs, their attempts, their quizzes, etc. So you can use real LMS data here by uploading an CSV file. This will then show you, the predictive gap, the gap analysis. You can see like, okay, so this is where people are needing a little bit more support. You can have like you can see a report here, like this is where things are sort of lagging behind. And you have a heat map in terms of your quality and capabilities across your departments and how they're, checking off the boxes for these key capabilities that you'd like them to have. If you need to create something quickly, you can take one of the topics they don't know about, they're lagging behind on, like compliance, and then you can use this tool that I've created to generate an idea of what to create. So it's just, yeah. So for example, compliance essentials, it'll explain like this is a learning objective, what the module is about, your 5-point syllabus, and then you can click generate learning content in Smartcat so that you actually get something in your correct brand voice terminology and all that good stuff that you really require for your training. And at the end, it's all about your adapted learning path. So what is an adaptive learning path? It's finding like creating content for each sort of scenario and each kind of person that makes it like, okay, like this person is a new hire and he hasn't been here for like 3 months and like we need to create something for this person. Or maybe there's like an older person on your team, they need a little bit of help with the tech. Um, you click on one person and then it creates a learning path for you. So it's like, okay, these are the things that they need to be successful in their learning and their training. Um, and then I have about 100 people that need to do this learning path. There's a bit of risk. And there's different things you can work in here. So I'm going to share this prompt I have with you. I have another one here that you fill in the gaps with your company information, and I invite you to test it out. You can go, I'm going to send you the link to my prompt, to my dashboard where it says customize, and then you can go around and play with it to create one that's your own. I mean, always check quality and make sure that you're doing it in your own safe and secure enterprise account to make sure nobody's, accessing your data. So that's it. I think we need to then get to the Q&A quickly before we end our presentation. Thank you everybody so much for being here. Um, let's go over the questions that we have. And before I get to the questions, I got ahead of myself. We do want to encourage you to use the platform Smartcat as well and to try everything you've learned today. And there's been a lot of questions. So if you have any specific questions about what your brand might need and what your company needs, you have an account manager and you have a forward deployed engineer like Moston who can, bring you through everything on the platform and really show like this is what you need to do with this to get there if you require any help. But try it out yourself and see what happens and get in touch with us if you need any help. So you can scan the QR code right now if you need help right away, or you can get in touch with your forward deployed engineer or account manager via email as your usual way, or the book a demo page on Smartcat. And then we're going to be sending you a few things. So we'll get you an AI skills lab. So please share this on LinkedIn. Show what you've learned with your colleagues, your peers. AI is such an important skill right now. So share that and let them know that you are upskilling today. We'll send you the 2026 State of Global Enterprise Growth, which Claire Foster, our Director of Customer Marketing, talked to thousands of contacts of Smartcat customers and came up with a lot of information about how people are using AI today. And we'll send you also a framework about L&D. We'll also send the rest of the questions at the end of in an email so that you know the answers. So here's a summary of the question in the chat. Mawson, what's the difference between AI translation and the translation agent?
Yeah, so AI behaves very similarly to how humans behave when it comes to translation. If you give someone a first attempt, they'll do a pretty good job. But if you ask them to translate the same thing twice, it will be even better. They'll then have full context of the course, your tone of voice, and everything like that. So the AI translation is where we're leveraging the prompt instructions to do translate from source to target. And then the translation agent is when we're asking the agent to come in to review the target a second time, to give you that second pass, contextualize appropriately, brand tone of voice appropriately, and tone importantly as well. So while they both function very similar, one is the initial from source to target, and the other one is a second pass at the target itself.
And another question we have is, does SmartCat translate images or graphics for training content and
It
in score
does, yeah.
packages?
Yeah, super exciting this one. So yeah, we partnered with AWS to get this one sorted for their web shop for Amazon. We can translate all image artifacts, flat images, JPEG, PNG, within SCORM, and external as well. So if you do have any infographics that you just need a quick translation over, you can upload those into SmartCat. But if they are within the SCORM package, they'll be treated as part of that package, and you'll be able to, you might have seen me do it, a little drop down where you can click between files. So you can either consume the course as is and translate those infographics in the course, or you can switch to the image themselves and then give a proper editing experience there as well. So yeah, really, really exciting.
I just have a question. There's the resource and certificate I'm going to send via email tomorrow along with the recording so you can rewatch and just share with all your colleagues this training. Let them have a little bit of the upskilling love. And then as a team you can grow together with in this AI world. So to be respectful of time, we're already going to wrap up the call, but we're going to send all the questions and answers as well just to make sure nobody felt like that they have their questions answered. Genevieve did a great job of answering them as well as Claire. So thank you everyone for being here today. Really appreciate you guys being here. We'll do more of these AI skill labs, and we'll also send in more AI stuff too that you can participate in the future. So thanks everyone, and have a great day. Bye.